so yeah, let's get started. Um, got quite a bit of submits this time, which is great. Some really nice work from all of you here. You've got a submission from Andrey, Pavel, Vladyslav, Arthur, Mikita, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, and Alex. But yeah, for this challenge, it was to model two grips, one being uh, the Soviet wood grip here and the Bakelite grip. I have some reference up here that I will go through as I review these. So let's get started here. And real quick, let me double check the challenge submissions and make sure nothing's gotten missed. Okay, I'm seeing, yep, okay, perfect, I got everybody. Okay, cool. All right, let's get started on the feedback then. So let's take a look at Andrey's here. Yeah, this is looking really nice. Perhaps it's a little too low poly right here on this point of the grip. You can kind of see it right there. I'd add maybe a couple more edges, or a few more edges actually, on the bevel here, just so that way it does not facet too much. Also down here, it's getting a little tight. Yeah, that would be only my note for that one, in terms of the low poly. Cool. And real quick, I noticed the low poly here is of the grip down here. Let me check and make sure I did not miss the image for the low poly of the other grip. Let me check on that real quick. Oh, okay, yeah, I found it. Yeah, I'm not sure how I missed that image. Let me pull this up here. Yeah, like this one you did a solid job making sure it's a little more rounded there, especially right here too. So kind of giving the same treatment on this grip. Um, Also, it's a little dense right here. You could definitely knock back some of these edges and maybe reallocate those save tries to uh, to these areas. And maybe if this metal shroud is modeled in, it kind of looks like it does. It looks like it is modeled in because I'm seeing the edge here go under it. So I would delete its internal faces, and maybe even find a way to bake it down if at all possible, just to try to save even more try count um, to place down there. But yeah, other than that, that's looking good on that low poly. This one's looking nice. I'm noticing like this cylinder piece here is a little dense, which is fine. But comparing it to other pieces here where it's much more exposed, there's a bit of discrepancy there. I would probably knock back every other vert here to make it a little more low poly, and then yeah, you could spare some of that save try counts around that area. Um, let's check. I mean, this one's not as bad though as the other facets on the other grip. I mean, this one's looking really solid. It's a really nice low poly, but just something to keep in mind. But I do know the low poly budget on this one was a little tight. For AAA games, it's probably for a grip like this might be like you know, 3,000, closer to 3,000. But other than that, it's kind of interesting though, making the try count a little tight. It gives people a little more of a challenge. But yeah, let's take a look at the textures. Looking at the knurling here, perhaps some more dust and dirt in it. I know it's a little glossy inside these crevices. I actually got some pretty decent ref here for some dust and dirt collecting between the knurling there. So some of that happening between the knurling on that would be nice. But the wear's looking really good. I would definitely try to get some wear here on the front of the grip. It's a very exposed part of the grip. That would definitely receive a lot of contact. I noticed looking at this reference photo too, like even right here, it's very hammered in terms of wear, even this part of the grip. I've noticed that actually for quite a bit of the grips, like there's wear in like the back of the grip quite a bit, but not a lot of wear in the front where it's going to receive contact. And I tell a lot of people, like if you're in some type of combat and you're breaching a room and you knock the weapon on the side of the wall or something, that contact's going to come from the front towards the back of the weapon. So you kind of want to illustrate that. Like you could see on this reference image here, the wear is coming from the front, and towards the back it fades out. There's not really a lot of wear that happens on the back. So whenever I'm adding wear, I try to make sure a lot of it's illustrated from the front and not so much the back. Definitely have a few chips on the back, but nothing too crazy. Yeah, this one's a really nice one. Let me take a look at the wood reference here. There's not a lot of reference online for these wood ones being worn out, but I can definitely what you got here, I can tell definitely was inspired from reference images. I've totally seen this wear treatment happen, and it looks really nice. Yeah, it's looking great. One thing for the metal, I've seen it rust this way. It also corrodes different ways. Like here you can see it's really rubbed and worn off. I mean, this is down to personal preference, but this rubbed, worn off metal is actually pretty interesting compared to the chipped one. But as for the chipped one, I definitely saw a reference image with that same chip. Some of these have that chip. But if you definitely want to push the interest some more, going with the more rubbed effect there might be pretty cool. But as for the actual wear itself, I think it looks great. Perhaps you could maybe add some more like noise or variation on the actual edges of the chips. But that's definitely getting pretty minute. Something about it is feeling a little maybe like plastic or something under it. It's not quite feeling like metal. I've definitely seen reference images though where whatever coating they're putting on this tends to look like plastic, but for a game, if you really want it to read a bit better, you might want to just kind of give it more of a metallic look to it, just for readability's sake maybe. But other than that, I feel like the roughness is really nice on this. Yeah, this is great. And same here, maybe some height damage or something would be nice. It seems like with the grips like this, when the coating starts to wear off like this, it starts to also eat into the wood, and the wood becomes, I guess it's actually the staining. The wood is stained, and the chips are damaging the stain as well. So getting some of that brighter chip variation would be nice. Kind of like what we see here too. You can see some of that. These chips are a bit of odd shapes. I wouldn't go with those, but just kind of helps give a better idea. Like you can see here, these brighter chips. So some of those brighter chips on this wood here would be great for sure. And then looking at here, this is a pretty cool detail. You can see the gun oil the black gun oil is actually starting to stain the wood. So you kind of have this gradient at the top of the grip here that is very dark, and then it starts to fade off. It's pretty common with old wood furniture on guns, so perhaps kind of integrating that, just darkening the diffuse on the top here near the metal would be great. This grip also kind of has it too. You can see it's getting a little dark there from the staining. But yeah, other than that, not seeing much else. Overall, though, really solid texturing on this. I really like the shapes. Yeah, that's nice. And perhaps for the Bakelite grip, kind of revisiting it, I guess you do kind of have some of that where it's mostly happening on the edges, though, maybe a bit more on the knurling. I do see you have it on the knurling. For some reason, it's not really showing up too well. You might need to try adding it in the height channel as well. Perhaps that'll help it a bit. And maybe some more variation. I know you do actually have some variation in it, but you could try getting a little more variation in it, kind of like these type of shapes, just to help it pop a bit more. It's very difficult though because these Bakelite grips come from so many different batches. Some have more variation and then others. But if you're going for interest, definitely try to crank up some more of that variation that you already have going in this. But yeah, it's really nice work. And yeah, let's take a look at the UVs. Okay, and then you got the red overlap parts. Okay, yeah, this is looking nice. Perhaps for the UVs, I would do some more mirroring, maybe with these parts of the grips, especially. I wouldn't mirror it down the middle, per se, but mirroring the side of the grip would help you get even more resolution out of it. But again, it's kind of down to how much sharper you're wanting the textures to look. But even with this, the textures still look really good, as is. Like, players aren't really going to get this close to the grip. But if you really want to shoot for higher res or texel density, I'd definitely try to mirror some of these shells here. But other than that, it's looking good. Could try to straighten out this shell here. I know it's going to cause some distortion in these areas when you straighten it, but I would straighten it anyways, just so that way it's kind of easier when it's low res for the pixels to follow the UV when you straighten it, and it just makes packing a bit easier as well. But other than that, that looks really solid. So yeah, really nice work, Andrey. Let's move on to Pavel's. I believe I'm saying that right. Is it Pavel? Yeah, Pavel submits. Yeah, this is looking really nice. Definitely like a really cool presentation you got on this too. That's sweet. Oh, you uploaded a ref board? Okay, sweet. I think I did see that one. Yeah, okay. I think I'll probably pull that one out if I struggle to find other reference images. It's definitely tricky trying to find the good ones out there. But yeah, I'll definitely take a look at that if something comes up for sure. Yeah, so the script's looking great. I like the presentation. I think probably the biggest thing I'm noticing on it is it does feel a little like older gen, like previous console gen. Um, uh, I guess like the generation before like PBR was really taking off. And I think what's probably happening is the roughness. Either I'm not sure if you're using metal rough or spec gloss, but I would increase the roughness so that way it's more glossy on the wood. It's just slightly too dull. If that's the art style you're going for, that's completely okay. But like same for this one too. I think I would increase the gloss a bit more, just so that way it gives you some more contrast even in the color, similar to this one. The roughness on this one's pretty solid. So just matching that level of roughness will help too. Let me take a look at, yeah, the seam here. I think you could add some more that variation you see on the seam or wear. I believe what this is when the mold comes out, someone at the factory's like using some type of tool to polish out the seam or carve it down. And that's the marks that's leaving when they chisel out the seam. So getting that effect to appear more present on this would help quite a bit on that part. Um, Other than that, though, I think the core materials look really nice. Like the variation on this is great. I think as long as you can kind of get that contrast and the gloss going, it'll really help sharpen it up. And I'm not sure if you're using Marmoset to render this, but if you are, the lighting could be a bit too bright, like your fill light. It might be a bit too strong. So that could also be kind of changing the look of the textures. Like, yeah, looking at this one, it has a little more contrast, I noticed. So maybe some of this is also in part to the lighting. Yeah, this is really nice. Maybe some more wear down here especially would help. Notice there's these little pixels in here. It looks like it's maybe a dust texture. Maybe they're a bit too strong. Yeah, maybe take a look at that. It's kind of funny. It looks like the effects you get from some of the digital cameras will leave random specks like that when you gotta clean its lens or whatever. But yeah, that's kind of funny. But maybe take a look at that. Perhaps too, like some darkening around the hole here. Maybe you do already have it here, but some more dark contrast, kind of like what I was talking about here with these grips with the oil stainage. Same thing with the screw hole there. Like I guess even Andrews could have used some of that there around there. But yeah, overall though, really liking the variation for sure though. Maybe more height damage on the front of the grip here would help too. But I really like this presentation of it. The grips in the box is pretty sweet. That's awesome. All right, let me take a look at the UVs here. And also, like, some of the feedback I might give some of you, like I might not mention it on the other, but it could technically be applied to the other, like kind of like what I was talking about, the dark oil under the grip here. Definitely, like, if I'm giving feedback on someone's grip that might be relevant to yours, definitely feel free to, apply that to yours when you go posting it on ArtStation or wherever. But yeah, let's take a look at the UVs here. Yeah, definitely nice use of mirroring. I do actually like that you did this like butterfly spread on the grip. You didn't just like add a seam here and then straighten the shell. You kept them together, so that's really nice. My only concern with that though is sometimes the shading can be too harsh on the low poly. I'm not sure if you're having any issues there. Sometimes when you go to port it into a game engine, if the shading is too harsh, it'll cause these tangent looking errors on the side of the model. So if you're getting that effect, you might need to add a UV split on the side here, and then reshade the model so that way it shades better. But other than that, it's looking good. I think a big one too actually with these UVs is they're super tight. They definitely need more padding. If they don't have more padding, what will happen is it will start bleeding, and like this piece of black metal will start to bleed onto, let's say, the front of the grip here, as it starts to MIP an engine. So give it some more padding. I think Andrey has a pretty solid padding space on this one, so kind of take a look at that and give them more spacing or padding. But other than that, really nice work though, straightening out the shells. All of that looks great. Yeah, low poly looks really solid. Again, maybe with this one too, it's getting a little too low poly on the bottom of the grip there. Same for right here on the front. It's a little too low poly. Probably out of the whole area on this grip, these exposed areas will be the ones most noticeable in game if there's some type of weapon inspect or something that'll really kind of stand out like a sore thumb, so to speak. So I would probably kind of remove some of these edges, not clean it up, it's already cleaned up, but optimize this area a bit more and reallocate those edges to the front of the grip there. What you could even do too, maybe, is vert snap this whole thing, so it's just one vertice that dips down into here. I guess so you could have some issues with the wall there. It does look like there's geometry under this plate, so maybe look under the plate there and see if there's any hidden faces you could delete. Yeah, this one's really nice. This is actually probably a better example for the vert snap. If you grab this whole face here and just collapse it so it's one single vert, sometimes you can still get a pretty good bake. If you add like a black diffuse and stuff in there, you can fake the darkness and it'll look pretty solid. Kind of like in here, it's so dark in there you would never see a collapsed vert. But yeah, this looks really solid. Yeah, really nice work on the low poly, so this is great. All right, I'll move over to Vladislav's here. Let me make sure to I'm checking your guys' message because maybe some of you guys will have a question or something. Oh yeah, it's Andrey's first time in the challenge, so awesome. Cool. Yeah, no, this one looks looking really nice. Definitely, like, you nailed it with the roughness that I was referring to, like similar to this one, kind of pushing that roughness helped quite a bit with this one. I do think the wood texture is not really reading well. If you were using like a substance painter, like I mean, I could be wrong, but if you're using like the substance painter procedural woods, the problem with those wood materials is they are procedural. They're basically computer generated woods, and it just doesn't look as well as like an actual wood texture. So maybe in that case, you should try looking into like a wood texture on textures.com, or maybe like a Quixel wood texture would help, just to try to push that photorealism a bit further with the wood here. But other than that, I think that's looking nice. Definitely would get some more wear happening on the metal here. Rather it being like the chips that Andrey got here, or the rubbing wear on the paint here. I'm always a big fan of the rubbed paint like this, because not a lot of people really do it. A lot of people kind of just default to like the paint chips, which is nice. Definitely happens, but a lot of this rubbed metal always looks really, really nice. So kind of getting that idea there might help too. But yeah, other than that, I feel like you did a really nice job with the I have no clue what this process is going to be called, but where they rubbed off the leftover seam from the mold. You did a really good job as to creating that effect. For the bakelite texture too, something about it also kind of feels slightly procedural, but it's not an easy ask to like try to find an actual bakelite texture online, especially like a seamless one that would work on a grip like this. So what you could do too is try maybe darkening these patterns more so they're less obvious. Maybe try like multiplying it with another texture. Just try some things to get it to kind of have more natural shapes. And it, kind of like this one here, it has some very interesting shapes. But other than that, that's looking really solid. Also height damage for this one's kind of similar feedback. Getting some height damage, some chips on the wood would really help. But it's definitely not easy finding really good wood chip alphas, but if you can find some, getting some wear like this would really help the wood material read better. But yeah, other than that, this is looking really nice. Let's take a look at the low poly. Yeah, the low poly looks really good. I can't really tell here. Maybe it could use a few more edges as well. I could be wrong. I always thought the front of these Bakelite grips were a little more rounded, but maybe wrong. Yeah, I guess they are. Yeah. It looks like yours is slightly squared off on the front. So, or sorry, this one right here. Yeah, it looks like it's slightly squared off in the front. Sorry, it's this one. So I'd get it to have some more roundness, kind of like the reference here. You can see it's very round. But yeah, as for the low poly, low poly looks really, really solid. Yeah, UVs look really good. There's quite a bit of space here, though. I'd try to close that up. Same here. There's just a little bit too much space up there. Same for this one, just slightly too much space. What you can do to resolve some of the spacing issues is scale up some of the shells or reposition them, or maybe give some more padding. Like I notice here, the padding's really getting close to the UV border here, which I'd watch out. Try to give the UV boundary some more space too, kind of like you would treat it with a UV shell, because what could happen is if it's hugging the border here, it can get bled onto by another shell that's hugging the border right here. So it's kind of a good habit to kind of treat the UV boundary as a UV shell as well. But yeah, it's looking really solid. Yeah, this is looking nice. Oh, very nice. Okay, yeah, I see you deleted the faces in there. That's perfect. Yeah, that's looking sweet. One thing I was kind of curious. Yeah, I guess it wouldn't really be possible to bake the metal piece onto the wood. It's got that large gap there, so I totally see why a lot of you decided to model it in there, so that makes sense. One detail I'm not seeing a whole lot just yet, that would be really cool is these, they're like dust specks, like left over from the wood when it was sawed or milled out. You can see there's these little specks of wood in there. So the shavings of the wood would be a really cool detail to see on some of these. And also these, where is it? Yeah, this stuff. I forgot what it's called. There's a word for it, but it's basically grease that they put on these grips whenever they're shipping weapons overseas or whatever. They put quite a bit of grease on them to avoid rusting. Oh, hey, how's it going? Yeah, I believe that's Nikolai, right? How are you doing, Nikolai? But yeah, let's look at the rest of these. Yeah, solid work though on the low poly. Looks really nice. You could, I mean, if you really want to get a little more nitpicky with the low poly, I would make this, is that a bevel? Yeah, or I'm sorry, it looks like a chamfer, but yeah, I would remove the chamfer. I'd just make it a single edge. And then as for the bevel here, I would actually turn it into a chamfer. So yeah, remove the chamfer here, and then at this point, turning this piece into a chamfer instead of a bevel. So remove this center edge. It sounds weird, like how could a chamfer bake into a bevel, but believe it or not, it can definitely do a pretty good job at it, especially if it's this small of a bevel. You can get away with it. Same thing here. It's getting a little too low poly, so feel free to add some edge loops there. But yeah, solid work. I think I accidentally, yeah, my bad. Okay, I was just looking at Pavel's. I was supposed to look at Vladislav's with those last parts. My bad. I thought his screenshots were yours. But yeah, back to the UVs. Yeah, make sure you got the spacing in there. And yeah, low poly's looking solid on this one though. Yeah, Yeah, this low poly did a pretty good job in terms of like avoiding the sharp facets. I'm not seeing it as badly on this one, so that's nice. Watch out for here. I could be wrong. It might just be 3ds Max, but make sure there's no gaps in the model. That can sometimes show up. But in this case, I'm actually quite sure that's probably just 3ds Max doing some UI bug. But yeah, other than that, really, really nice work, Vladyslav. All right, and then we got Arthur's grip here. Oh, sweet. Yeah, another first challenge contestant. Okay, sweet. Yeah, so it sounds like this is your first time kind of trying out the game workflow. So cool. Yeah, happy to see what input I can provide. Yeah, the grip here is really nice. Same thing though, I'd increase the gloss on it so it's a little more shiny. Perhaps up here. Material here too, I can tell it's a procedural material. It's definitely not an easy ask because I know how hard it can be to kind of find the materials needed to create like a good bakelite material. But yeah, if you can try to swap it out with some material that even looks like a bakelite material, that can help quite a bit too. But the procedurals definitely struggle to do wood and bakelite. But same feedback with this one too. Some more height damage chips would be nice. The wood grip looks really nice. I kind of like the cherry wood you went with. That's a really nice touch. I would get some of these same chips happening on this reference image and some of the others on that wood grip. Just to give it some more interest. I mean, it's totally fine to go with these clean wood grips if that's the route you want to go. Nothing wrong with that. But if you really want to kind of push its interest, some wood chips would really help on that. Yeah, it's looking good. I do think the seam back here could use some more work for sure. It's not quite reading well. I do believe this is definitely something that's happening on a reference image. Like maybe someone at this factory kind of got a little rushed and just decided to rub off the whole back of the grip there. I'm sure that's actually something you found in a reference image somewhere, but I would probably just try to go with more of the typical seam that you kind of see here that's been rubbed off. I think this one, when it's not this large, is kind of more natural and commonly seen with these grips. So yeah, I would probably rework the mask on this one so it's more thin and more jagged looking as well. Same thing with this grip. It actually looks like you did do that. You did add some like darkness around here from what would be like a screw's gun oil leaking on it. So really nice detail with that. The edge wear is looking a little procedural. Maybe pull it back, try hand painting it in some places. The knurling wear is actually really nice that you got here. Maybe some more wear on the more exposed parts, like right there. It looks like the UVs might be stretching a slight bit there, but I could be wrong. Let's see. Yeah, some more wear up here too. I think the surface, like in general in this area, is just feeling slightly flat. So getting some more variation, like grease, and stains and whatnot, would really help with the bakelite grip here. And for the wood grip here, it is looking a little sharp on it's either the lighting here or the roughness. Make sure the wood lines are also present in your roughness map. And that would just help kind of break up that sharp light that we see there. But I do think the light is probably a little on the strong side for sure. Yeah, and same thing for this one. Some more wear, especially on this part of the grip, will help. And just overall details. Let me actually see if there's some details I can just quickly point out here. One thing that's interesting with this grip is you can see the surface has some like height to it. It's really interesting. It's like it's not a smooth surface. There's some bump to it, especially when you can get a really nice reference image of the light hitting it just right. You can really see it. So seeing some more of that would be a really nice detail. It's not a very typical detail that artists use with these grips, and when they do, it's very unique and really helps their texture stand out. Yeah, I believe what a lot of it is actually that same type of like gunk you see when these grips are shipped with the oil. Yeah, it's kind of like that. So it's a really cool detail. So getting some more of that height variation would really be cool. But yeah, other than that, let me double check your UVs. Yeah, this was Arthur's grip I was on, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so sweet. Let's look at the low poly. Okay, I get it. Your UVs are right there. Sweet. Yeah, your low poly looks really good. The knurling, is the knurling a little? No, I was thinking it's a little close to the grip. I kind of see what you did here. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, sometimes the baker can really cause you trouble if that's a perfect 90-degree edge right here, which it looks like it does. Or sorry, it looks like it is. So what you might have to do if you're ever running into an issue where the baker's not baking this out correctly is taper the vertices in a bit. So that way, instead of this edge being a 90-degree, it's more of like a 70-degree. So it kind of tapers inwards a bit, and sometimes you'll get a cleaner bake that way. I've also seen too where people will just detach the whole mesh and then re-weld it later on. But yeah, that's looking nice. The UV seams, there's something about the UV seams. I'm not quite sure. It just seems like they might be in some odd spots on it. Like maybe a good example, like this one's a pretty good example. Maybe sometimes you can get the shading to work correctly, but I mean, if this was my grip, I'd probably add the same here. Perhaps to control the shading a bit better if needed. So that's what's kind of standing out to me a bit. It looks like you got an overlapped shell right there, so watch out for that. That'll create baking errors and kind of cause trouble with the textures. And then also make sure you straighten out these UV shells. It will cause distortion when you straighten them, but the distortion a lot of times is worth it because it allows you to get tighter packs, and also instead of the pixels having to basically stair step, like you can see the stair stepping here on the pixels because it's not straight. When it's straight, you can see the pixels don't have to fight the shell. So you can even get much cleaner bakes when you straighten the shells out. So I'll definitely straighten those out. Even this larger shell here, straighten out. Yeah, and like same here too. I'd probably just add a seam here and split this shell off and reattach it to whichever shell it belonged to here. But other than that, I think that's looking pretty solid. Yeah, the low poly actually looks really good though, especially if I believe you're mentioning this was like your first time attempting a low poly. So honestly, really, really nice work. Sweet. Yeah, that looks great. That was Arthur's. Yeah, so really nice work, Arthur. And then we got Mikita. Let me check chat. Oh, okay, it is you, Nikolai. Nice. It's morning there in Japan. I guess Dan's actually flying there to Japan. Maybe you'll run into him. Well, I doubt you'd run into him. Japan's massive, but maybe you'll reach out to him and grab lunch or something. But yeah, that's hilarious that Dan's actually in Japan too. It's super cool out there. I'm jealous. Hopefully I'll go there a third time here soon in the future. But yeah, Mikita. Again, apologies if I'm pronouncing any of your guys' names wrong. But yeah, very sure it's Mikita, but if not, apologies. But yeah, let's take a look here. Okay. Yeah, okay. No, I mean, the try count's a little high, but I mean, I would say a little high for, I guess I can't even remember the goal we set or the estimate. I think the estimate was like 1,000 tries per grip, which is quite tight. But it's definitely doable. A lot of these grips were definitely in that range, but it's fine that you got a little higher. But yeah, so I'll definitely take a look at that. Sounds like your textile density got nicely high, so really cool. Okay, got it. So it sounds like I'm assuming you just had the model in hand, but you've not textured it yet until this competition, which I guess is fine. Yeah, okay. Yeah, this is really nice. So like these are the type of the details that will definitely like help you stand out. Like on something like ArtStation is like this detail here. I believe out of like all the submissions, like I'll check Alex's here. Yeah, I'm not seeing that detail, but yeah, it's like a really unique detail that I'm not really seeing anywhere else. And even on ArtStation, I've not really seen someone implement this detail where there's that imperfection from the factory. So really nice work. Just catching those details and adding them is really a good way to stand out for sure. I like the variation here. Perhaps the rub wear here could get expanded a little further, like a kind of like a triangle shape, so to speak. Just have it ride this edge a bit more. It the way the wear happens, it kind of feels slightly like it's painted on. It's not versus being more natural. So same with this one. Like there's so much wear here, and then it suddenly just stops instantly. I would actually have it more of like a triangle shape here, as if it's gradually happening down here too, and then it fades out. Um, and I would, and I feel like with this much like rub wear, there'd at least be like a few nicks on the Bakelite. Let me see if anyone has a Bakelite texture that's really nice in terms of wear. Feel free to send me it, but this one's a little low res, but you can kind of see the nicks happening there. Especially this one has some pretty good examples of the nicks on the Bakelite. Yeah, unfortunately my Bakelite reference, there's not a lot of great options on it. Okay, no, this one's actually really good. I kept missing it. So yeah, some nicks right there. You can see. So yeah, more nicks right there. Something about the triangles are feeling a little procedural. If you look closely, you can kind of see like these red triangles. There's like a lot of red triangles right here. So I'm pretty sure you're probably using like a dirt generator or something to get the color variation, which is fine, but you can see it kind of exposed a bit of an issue here where there's multiple red triangles. So maybe to like use another grunge on top to break the red triangles, just so that way it doesn't feel like there's red paint on top of those. Nice work. I see here you got that nice gun oil around the screw hole there. Let me check. Oh yeah, for sure. Anytime. I believe that was. I believe that's Mikita, right? Yeah. Or I'm sorry, that was Arthur commenting it. Yeah, no problem, Arthur. Um. So yeah, that'd be my only note here. But really nice work on that height variation. I love that. I believe Igor even was commenting something like, "Oh yeah, Cohen's gonna like it." So Igor knows my taste. But yeah, this is looking really solid. I would get some more chipping down here too. Around the edge on this piece, I think you could go a little more matte on the gloss, as if there's some type of matte soot happening just on the edge there. But the Bakelite texture itself is honestly flawless. You did a really good job with the Bakelite texture. a lot of these ones are really close. It's kind of interesting. They have a very similar pattern, but I believe he added some more gradients and some slight blur to it that really helped it nail down the look. So excellent job. Yeah, looking at the knurling, the height does feel slightly harsh on the knurling's damage. I'd probably reduce that height by half, and then yeah, get some damage on the actual knurling itself. Looks like you do, but some of the damage is actually happening in the crevice of the knurling. You can see here, it's not actually happening on the knurling. It looks like right here it is, but watch out for that because yeah, your damage is actually avoiding the knurling. It's not actually on the knurling. So maybe take a look at that. Trying to see if there's some good examples of the knurling. Yeah, you can see here the little white spots on the knurling. The damage is gonna mostly happen on the knurling there. There is some what looks like dust on the inside of the knurling, which it does kind of read like dust, but I can tell this is the actual damage. So I do like the idea though, the dust collecting there. So maybe use another layer to actually add the dust on that corner there. But yeah, I'm definitely like trying to cherry pick feedback here because you certainly did a really good job. Let me see. Let me move over that image there. Okay, yeah, that's looking really nice. It is a little too, there's a little too much saturation, I feel, on the color itself. I think the color could be neutralized a bit. Let me see if there's a good example. Like, I think Alex's color is actually in a pretty great spot. If we compare the two, you can see it's a little too saturated, so I'd pull back a bit on the saturation there. Maybe get some height damage actually on the exposed corners here. I think height damage would actually really help this one quite a bit. Yeah, especially down here. Some more maybe height damage on the actual edges of the screw too. I'll just call it the nose of the grip here. I believe it's more rounded on a lot of the reference here. You can see it's almost like a sphere. It's quite interesting. So getting that same curvature on that grip there, just to match the reference. I believe too, the back here is also more rounded. It looks like yours is kind of flat on the back there. So try to get some more of that roundness. Let me actually double check the reference just to make sure I'm not wrong. Not sure if I got reference of the spine of the grip there. Yeah, I guess this one actually is kind of sharp on the back there, but definitely the front though could get some more curvature. It's very difficult because these Soviet grips, they definitely were not made at one factory. There's so many different manufacturers, and some are Chinese. I think even here in the US make some of these. I could be wrong, but so there's so many different factories. I don't worry too much about, you know, the shape not being 100% accurate, because it gets to the point of 100% accurate to what, because there's so many variants of these grips out there. Yeah, okay, yeah, really, really nice work. The lighting is also really great in your renders. The mood and everything's really nice. Very, very solid presentation. I got no clue, honestly, if this is an image or how you got this pattern back here. If that's not just like an image put in there and that's like an actual mesh with displacement, really, really nice job. But yeah, let's take a look at the wood grip here. Same thing. The wood grip's base materials are excellent. I do think though the one thing that it's kind of suffering slightly from is some more of these like actual chips. I think these chips would have been really cool, or maybe even like this one, some chips there. Let me actually drag this reference down. Yeah, some more of these brighter chips would be really cool to see. especially right here on the front. Again, if you're kind of like throwing the AK like in the back of a truck or something, or breaching a room and you scuff the gun on something, it's going to be scuffed from the front, not necessarily the back. So getting that wear coming from the front here would help. I actually would have swapped this around. Like, this wear shape is beautiful. I would actually make it more in the front though, where it's coming from the front and then it's more clean in the back. So you kind of have it a bit inverted there, which is fine. That can totally happen, but just getting in the habit of getting some more wear in the front will kind of help with especially some of this reference where it's very beat up in the front there. But yeah, brighter chips on the wood would be nice. Some gun oil like stains, which it actually looks like you do have happening on the front there. So that's fine. But maybe, especially right here, it dips down a bit. So maybe some dark stains on the front here. It'll also kind of help with the transition. You can see it's a very harsh transition from that black metal to the wood. So you can see these have a lot of that transition happening. So that would be a nice detail for sure. Yeah, other than that, really solid. Definitely, I would get more wear happening on the metal. There's a bit, yeah, there is a bit of a story confliction. I feel like the metal feels pretty pristine and clean, while the wood is pretty aged. So I would try to match the metal to match the age of the wood. But really, really, really nice presentation on this. I love the lighting. I could be wrong, but it looks like the roughness might be a little too sharp or harsh on the wood here. So maybe just pull it back a bit, so that way it's getting some type of slight reflection. But yeah, that's looking really nice. Yeah, this lighting shows the variation on the metal much better. So the metal has really nice variation, but I would try to get like actual exposed metal happening. It looks like you have it happening slightly here, but yeah, try to eat up more of the corners here on the metal, especially if you're going with that worn look. But definitely very, very gorgeous work on the wood, and even the bakelite. It does look like you have some of these wood specs going on. I can tell you had to pull back a bit on the detail on the inside of the grip here because of the butterfly mirroring, which is completely fine. I would have done the same. It makes sense to mirror the inside of the grip here. Inside a video game setting, it'll never get seen, so I'm not going to go too crazy on the texture review on the inside of the grip. But yeah, with that said, I would get some more of these wood paint chips here going on. Or I'm sorry, not paint chips. The little wood saw milling dust specks would be cool to see more of in the inside there. And some staining around this screw hole. The screw is going to be pretty greasy and oily, and it's going to stain the wood. So getting some of that around there would be nice. Same for the outside here. Get some more staining. And as for the low poly, yeah, let's take a look at this. Yeah, definitely nice work making sure the silhouette's really well rounded. I think the vertical edges are perfect. There's not too many, not too little. I do think though these horizontal edges, every other one of them could probably get reduced a bit. So I'd probably clean that up just slightly. I think there's too many of these, let me rotate it, too many of these horizontal edges. I think you could remove that one, skip that one, remove that one, skip that one, remove that one, and vice versa. So yeah, I think it's slightly high, especially in here. I would remove these chamfers. Inside a game setting, it'll be so dark with the AO map. You don't necessarily need the chamfers. As for this actual face in here, I would just collapse it into a single vert. Because again, it's going to be so dark in there with the AO, it's not going to be visible. I'm not seeing a lot of the inside of the grip here, but I do feel like it could get optimized a bit more. but it's hard to tell. I can't really tell from the image. It looks like you got a triple bevel here. Um, I can't tell. It's hard to see. It looks like there's 4 edges. So an edge here, edge here, edge here, and an edge here. I would actually just turn it into a chamfer maybe. Either a chamfer or a 3-edge bevel just to pull back on that some more. But yeah, really, really solid work on this. Yeah, the UVs look excellent. I'm not really seeing much with the UVs. The spacing great, it's great. And the shells are all straightened. There's not too many shells, which are nice, which is nice. I mean, this is very nitpicky, but maybe this shell here could be straightened out. I know, again, it's probably going to cause distortion. But I would say with this one, it's 50-50. If it causes so much distortion that it's not going to bake well, then that's fine. This one, though, definitely could probably get straightened out as well. But again, I'm getting pretty nitpicky there. Really, really good use of mirroring the shells. I think a lot of people kind of kept their UV shells unique on each side. So mirroring that is really nice. Like, honestly, when I was reviewing these textures, I did not realize those shells were mirrored. I mean, now that I look at it, I can see, okay, it's mirrored, but it is kind of funny because you can get away with a lot by mirroring. As long as you're not doing a butterfly mirror down the middle of the grip, you can get away with a lot with that left and right mirror. But sweet. I guess one thing I didn't realize, though, okay, yeah, that's hilarious. I was gonna say, if you mirrored the grips, how did you get the number to not mirror? And I get it, you went with 8 and 0. That's very smart. That's definitely a technique I use as well. That's hilarious. I just remember, I was like, I believe you had a number on this. How did you not prevent it from mirroring? But yeah, okay. Very smart move doing that. I like that. But yeah, cool. Really, really nice work, Mikita. And then Alex. Alex was in the last competition. What were we doing on the last competition? So many days that passed by. But yeah, I do remember what you worked on was really nice. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you got here. I like your wood. It's definitely a really unique wood texture you went with here. Variations really nice, especially here. It's nice seeing it's not like a solid flood fill tan color. You got a lot of variation and noise in there, which is great. I do notice your knurling goes in rather out, but I'm very certain there is factories that have the knurling going inwards versus outwards. It goes back to, there's so many variants of this grip. It's actually hilarious. So I'm not gonna judge the knurling going in because I'm pretty sure I even own one where the knurling goes inward versus outward. So that's fine. I would get some more like dust and dirt inside the crevices of the knurling though. I think that would help quite a bit. I really like the edge where you have up here. I would get some like scuffs or something happening on the edge here. Same thing with the front of the grip here. I would spice it up a bit more with some more edge wear and chips and other such storytelling details. Same thing with the wood grip. Get some more chipping and variation on the front there. Definitely get that dark wood staining from the gun oils of the metal here. So just getting that gradation happening like we're seeing on the reference there would help. And I like the wear that you got going on here. It does feel a little stenciled on. So I would maybe take another look at that. It just feels like there's a stencil here, stencil there, and then another stencil here. So I'd find a way to just kind of break these up and get them to sing a bit better there. But as for like the base material, the base wood's very, very nice. Same for the Bakelite. I feel like out of all of these, the Bakelite material is pretty much the most like accurate looking one. Yeah, you really did a good job nailing down the core materials on this, especially the wood. This is excellent. Zooming in here, actually, I would, yeah, definitely really avoid these substance painter scratches. They can really hurt the realism on your textures, especially when like they double cross like this or they shoot across the curvature. So watch out for that. If you're looking for like scratches or scuffs, the like the degrewer is a really good one. This is excellent back here. This is really nailed down really finely. Yeah, that is excellent. Yeah. It's definitely not making it easy to choose the competition placeholders. Everybody's really neck and neck on all of these. Perhaps some more rubware on the metal here, maybe from the hand or something, but I don't know. It's pretty subjective in terms of that. It's kind of interesting. It seems like the wear changed shapes on this one compared to this one. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's the lighting. Maybe you do have wear on this one. Yeah, this is the part that's slightly off, I think, is it's really worn out down here, but this corner is very clean. So if you're going to get that worn out on this corner down here, also try to wear it out a bit more up here. But interesting enough, though, this angle, you do have that happening here. So I'm not sure, maybe it's asymmetric textures and the other side's different. Definitely right here, stain the wood to more of a darker black color, because again, that metal's really going to stain it. Yeah, this is great. Yeah, especially this. This is excellent. You really nailed down the variation and stuff on that. I really like. It's not just a perfect circle. Yeah, it's gonna be a really hard one to judge these grips here. But yeah, let me move on to the low poly. It does look like there's an ingon inside the low poly there, unless maybe it's not. It might not be an ingon actually. Maybe you cut the hole all the way through and we're seeing the inside of the grip there. So yeah, if it is an ingon though, make sure to clean that up. But if not, no worries. Yeah, the low poly on this is really clean. I like it. Yeah, okay. Yeah, the low poly on this is really clean. It's a very consistent quads all the way around. I really like that. Yeah, you did a really solid job on low poly. I'm not really sure if I got much other feedback other than same thing, collapse the center vert there. And UVs look good. Yeah, okay, I get it. I guess one of these is for one grip and then the right one here is for the other grip. Okay. Yeah, yeah, the UVs look really good. I understand the trick you did here. That's actually a pretty smart way of doing it. You're getting quite a bit of distortion, so you just broke that vert. So that, yeah, that's perfectly fine. Yeah, that's a very solid UVs. Okay, so I guess let's go ahead and try to pick first place. This is going to be a very difficult choice. Lots of really good submissions here. Okay, let's revisit these. So I feel like the first and second place. Let me give this one more look. So I feel like the top contestants for first place are going to be the 3 down here. So let me take one last look on these. The wood is really good on all of these. Kind of want to judge it based on the Bakelite grip here. Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah, this is getting pretty challenging. Let me compare this wood one to this one. Let's compare this one. This is very difficult. Okay. It's very interesting. This one's wood is very excellent. It's gorgeous. I think what's really very difficult for me is like I would have really loved to see some more wear on the metal there. Maybe it's the image, but even looking at that, there's not really a lot of wear on the metal, which I would have loved to see on that one. So I feel like out of the wood grips, this one's a really good level grip. But as for Bakelite, I think, yeah, I think the seam on this one's struggling a bit more. This is tricky. Yeah, this Bakelite seam here is excellent. Really difficult figuring out who's going to be first here. Okay, yeah, this is getting tricky. Okay, so let's do this. So as for the wood, I feel like Andrey is on top for the wood, but let's compare it now with the Bakelite grips. This is so difficult because this one's excellent in terms of the height. It's just really well done. So now it's like it's a challenge for me because this one is really well done in terms of the wear around it. The lighting's excellent though. The renders, the presentation on Mikita's is actually really solid. I think it's actually coming down to that, honestly. Yeah, I think in terms of like presentation and lighting, I'm probably kind of gonna lean towards that, towards the tiebreaker. And I think we'll give Mikita first place on the grips. I think all the textures, honestly, with these were really neck and neck. But Mikita's lighting was really well done. The presentation, especially this. Seeing the light reflection here, it's just really excellent with the presentation. So yeah, congratulations, Mikita, on first place. It's really solid work. Especially the height on that is lovely. As for second place, also want to take a look at these two. Yeah, I think for second place, these two are competing the most in terms of second place. Yeah, the bakelite on this one is really nice. It's just slightly, it could just get slightly pushed more with details. But even this one's, yeah, I think with this one, the really nice detail on this is the bottom of the grip there. Um, the low poly is super well done though. Yeah, okay. Yeah, this one's not easy either. I think the tiebreaker on this one's honestly going down to the low poly. Yeah, and I think in terms of the low poly, I think this one's low poly came out really nicely. So, uh, yeah, we'll give second place to Alex. Yeah, congratulations, Alex. And then third place, let's move Andrey's back up here. Yeah, all these have really nice presentations. I think though in terms of, yeah, the materials, the definition, Andrew did a really excellent job on the wood here. Like, I think out of all the wood grips, Andrew came up pretty much nearly on top with the wood grip. So I think with these ones, we will give Andrew third place. I think he did a really good job on his. So we'll give Andrew's third. There we go. Let me copy his name here. But yeah, can I paste this plain text? No, I guess I can't. That's fine. There. All right. But yeah, I hope everybody enjoyed the competition. Really nice work to Arthur, Vladyslav, and Pavel as well. It's definitely quite the interesting challenge seeing like all the materials everybody comes up with. And all of you did a excellent job. And I hope from the feedback too, it was really beneficial for you guys. It was really exciting seeing all of the presentations and the work you all put in. But yeah, with that, I will reach out to you, Mikita, after the call. And Alex, I do feel bad. I think, Alex, this is your second time getting second place. But I guess, you know, you'll probably have Dan's entire tutorial collection here soon. But really nice work, Alex. I definitely hope to see you participating in another competition in the future. You're definitely like very neck and neck with these first place contestants too. Like this was a really close call. But yeah, great work, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the stream. And it was great doing it. Take care. Bye bye.